Yes. Where the fuck is Slack? Slacky Slack. Oh wait, that's not Slack. There's Slack. Here are instructions. Make the dog bark, make the cat meow. That's right. It's another day at work. All right. Okay. Oops. Hey. Oh, so many choices in cups. Honor cup? Man, you really just hate this honor system, don't you? Yeah, I'm going to take down the honor system. It's either that or armed guards. AR-15 style weapons. I'm sorry, AR style weapons. AR. That's a thing now. Got your AR gun? Boy, howdy.
It's not a gun. It's not a gun. Don't call it a gun. Well, a weapon.
I can call it a gun if I want to. Shoots bullets, it's a gun.
Never load a clip.
This is my rifle. This is my gun. Oh my gosh. Sorry, AR style rifle. I didn't know AR stood for assault rifle.
Right?
It sure does, doesn't it?
You would think it'd be more complicated.
Oh, you military people, you don't have the market on violence anymore. Oh no. Us commoners, we can do it ourselves now. I've already had this discussion about long ranges. I want to look you in the eyes. Watch you die. There's just no winning with Holly. Okay. So we have really digressed here. All your rifles are weak. I have a grenade launcher. Suck it.
I'm already cursing, Jim.
I know. All you have to do is make some objects, dogs and cats.
All right, I've got the object.
Then make the dog bark, make the cat meow.
I thought I was doing that.
But it only does it if it's set to true, right?
I thought I did that.
Okay.
Function.
It's logging the function. So what it's you're creating a function instead of a console log? Are you returning something or what?
So I've got that the value of make noise as a function that if this dot raining is true, we'll console log this dot. Oh shit. Never mind. False alarm. We're good. We're good.
It's funny how reading through it can really help with that, huh?
Who'd have thunk it?
Let's see.
Oh, we're meowing.
Good.
We're meowing.
All right.
Yes, let's console log with this dot make noise this whole time, which is a function. Yeah.
Oh, are you talking about those exploding arrows that Rambo had? Those are great. Exploding arrows are cooler. They're exploding. Day by day. Do you know the part I'm talking about? I think it's the second Rambo where they go, "How you living?" Day by day. It's like my favorite part of the entire movie for some reason. Day by day. What other days there to live when you're Rambo? Sure.
So I was just comparing mine. I was just curious what this part did. It's like calling to make noise methods, but so what exactly does that mean necessarily?
Well, it's using dot notation to say look at the object dogs and then look for whatever make noise is. In this case, make noise is a method, right? The only difference is that instead of just assigning a key to it, or I'm sorry, instead of assigning a value to the key, we assigned a function to the key. So it looks at that and then runs whatever that function is. Yeah. And then in the parentheses, you could have if the method required parameters, then that's where the parameters would come in as well. Yeah. So like if the method itself says like function, number, then when you run it, you would say make noise number or whatever, and enter the number that you want to run.
Putting the cat string equals to outside the cat's variable just for so you can just print it also you want to do.
Just it's what we're doing is we're stepping through the way that we would have done something like this before. Then we're talking about making that same code with the constructor function instead, because cats and dogs both have they have shared key value pairs. They have shared methods, right? Both have noise and both have a whatever. Yeah. And so what we're going to do is we're going to show how we can have a factory that will generate those similar objects based on a prototype that's stored in the factory, just like real life, just like China, just make a stamp, make a mold, and then fill it. That's what we're doing. All right. Everybody finished? Has anyone made the cat meow? Made the dog woof? Is it woof? Woof. I like how every language has their own way that they think the animal sounds. Like kikariki. Is that a pretty good rooster? Kikariki. That's the Japanese too? That's Spanish. Yeah. Wow. Wow. Like that. Yeah. I just always thought that was cool. Holly had to make it actually bark. They translate it to animals or. Oh, that's cool. I don't know why it took them so many decades to reproduce. The cow says. You know? The one my son has a coyote on it. The coyote says.
What is a coyote? That's more than I was expecting out of that. Unless they're actively hunting, then they'd sound like this. Oh yeah, when they're close to the kill. Yeah. Sorry, spent a lot of time on ranches. Obviously. Okay, so how many of us have it done? Anybody have it done? Okay. Woof, meow. All right, cool. So let's take a look here. So here is the solution if we were to write it without constructors. Okay, so what we've done at the beginning, and you may have seen this already, we create two separate objects here. So first we're creating a dogs object, and we're giving it these keys raining with the value of true, noise, woof, etc. stuff. And then we're also giving another thing that's a method because we're assigning a function to it, and in that we're testing to see if raining is true and then logging the noise. Okay, this .noise works because it's inside internal to that particular object, right? Okay, then we're doing the same thing, kind of repeating ourselves, which should be a red flag of something we're not supposed to do, right? Then what we're doing is we're first what we're doing is we're running using dot notation to access that method inside the object that we created called dogs and run that method make noise. Then what we're doing is we're setting the value of raining to true. So using dot notation again, we're setting the value of setting the value to true in this case, and then we're also using dot notation to run the method on cats. Now that they're both set to true, we can create this other variable that contains a function, and the function takes two parameters, dogs and cats. And if dogs is raining true and cats is raining true, so an and in the middle to combine them, then we're logging the line from Ghostbusters, right? Okay, so that won't run until we actually trigger it here with the objects that we want to provide, which are the actual objects that exist inside this function, okay? It gives the parameter or the argument's meaning, okay? So, given this, and I want to know, this should all feel fairly familiar at this point, right? Okay? All right, looks like we have general consensus on that. That's important because what we're going to do now is we're going to talk about entering into a whole other level of object-oriented programming. And to do that, what we're going to do is go ahead and open a refactored version of this side by side, and I'm going to call upon you guys to take a look at it and try to analyze and see what's different between the two ways that this is done. So let me go ahead and open that now. Da-da-da-da. And we'll go and move that to the other view. Can't do it from there. Where's the thing for sending it to the other view? There we go. Okay, so on the left of the screen, we have our original function. And over here we have our new one. So let me bring this back up to the top so we can take a look at
the way that we're doing this. Okay, so what do we notice right off the bat that's different about the way these two are set up? One's what? Oh shit, is one of them not word wrapped? That is a good eye. I'm glad you caught that. I was testing you all. Okay. Yes, I am. Clearly, I'm running something separate. I'm creating these shared key value pairs. I'm creating the shared method that they both share. I'm creating it in one function. And I'm accepting arguments into this function, okay? So I'm looking for user input or programmatic input that gives me the values for raining, okay, for instance. Anything else that we notice that's different?
Well, it's like a level up, right? You took dogs and cats are all animals, so you made an object constructor animal.
Animal.
Right, so then you could make any animal with raining and noise, right? So you just sort of abstracted it.
Mm-hmm. And I'm doing that down here on line 13, 14, right? I'm creating a dogs and I'm creating a cats and I'm using this new animal constructor, like you called it, right? This constructor function, which has a prototype up here. That prototype is the general kind of, here's a blank animal that we can throw values into. And it has certain methods that come along with it, okay? What, got something?
The mold, that's the mold.
That's the mold, yeah, exactly. This is the prototype for all these objects that we're going to be able to build. Anything else that you notice about this top part here that stands out? Notice how the animal is capitalized, okay? That's a typical convention to tell us and to help other programmers know that this is a prototype function, that this is a constructor object here. Yes.
So aren't objects usually capitalized?
Not always. A lot of times what happens is that the libraries that we use, the objects that they have that they're exposing to us are constructor functions,
okay,
and or have constructor functions inside of them, and
okay,
so then they're capitalized.
Because I would have gone 13, 14, made dogs and cats capitalized.
No, these are actually going to be objects that are built off of that constructor function, so they're just given regular. And this is all like just best practice. It's not going to break if you don't name your constructor object that, but that's just kind of the general way of doing it so that we can kind of keep logically sense on everything that's happening. Otherwise, do we see any difference when we move further down? Well, nope, not at all.
Other than the fact that you're done at line 26 and at line 27, you're just calling stuff for the first time.
Yep, less work, right? Oh, this has much more comments in it though too. But to be fair, it is true. Like there is this idea that, okay, so I've created, on the first one, if I created a cat, I created a dog, they both have the same method that they get from the way that I created them. But what if I wanted to add a new method to all the animals or something like that? I can't really do that. Well, yeah, I can't do that as easy as I can when there's a prototype here, that I can just add whatever change I want to that prototype at the top, add a new method there. Okay?
So I have a question about that.
Sure.
Prototype. So you define two parameters. So if you wanted to add another method, that would be a third parameter, right?
Methods don't have to. The parameters are just values that it's going to need.
Okay.
If I know that it's going to need something like raining or noise, then I can grab that from any kind of argument that's there, and then it becomes a parameter when the constructor function runs.
So if we wanted to add legs, for example, how would you do that?
If I wanted to add legs just to the constructor function itself, right?
Oh, then we would just go back and like add legs as a third parameter?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You could also just have legs set as 4 by default in there. You could have legs equals 4 and just have like something that it generally starts with. Because just like any other variable or object, we can access it and change values of it after it's been created too. And we're going to get into explaining how best case scenarios for changing the prototype or just having the change happen to the new objects that get created. Because clearly there's going to be some differences, and there's some two-legged animals out there.
So this is the part I always get hung up on.
Uh-huh.
Raining and noise, are those being assigned based off of being defined as raining and noise, or where we take them in the argument?
Okay, so raining and noise up there at the very top when they are arguments, the words are arbitrary, but the order is very important. So I'm expecting a user to come through, and when they run that function, say they go animal.raining, or I'm sorry, we're running the make noise, right? So animal.make noise, I want them to be able, or the constructor, like down here where we're constructing it, new animal, you see how it has the two values set out there? I could name them whatever I want. It's only after they come inside the function that they mean something.
I guess inside of the function animal,
Yeah.
if we flipped the order of raining and noise,
Uh-huh.
like inside function, not as the argument, we put this dot noise equals noise first.
Uh-huh.
Would it get assigned noise or would it get assigned raining? Like,
It would assign based on how you switch it. So if you switch it, then it would be reverse, and you would be assigning the wrong. You would be assigning true to noise.
and
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah, they're placeholders until they actually get value. Then they become important. Within the function, the name is very important, and it needs to match. And we'll get into seeing how this works. And what we'll do, we'll just go ahead and select this out to you. Just experiment with it. Yeah, exactly. And then we're going to move into seeing how these constructors work, even when we add in arguments.
I'm sorry, just for a second.
Sure.
So this dot rating is like Boolean true, right? And this dot noise is true. Then layer 13, 14, that first one is still Boolean rating. And then noise is now a string.
It's this, what the value is inside the function doesn't have a value or anything until we actually give it that right here.
Okay.
And that's when we're assigning. We're saying, hey, take whatever the first argument is and plop true into it. Take whatever the second argument is and drop woof into it. And then we're running it again. We're sending more data to that constructor function. We're saying, take whatever is here in this place and drop it in raining, so false. And take whatever is here and drop it in noise. So they just have to match up. Value.
Do we have to have equals noise equals rain?
Okay, so inside there, then we're assigning a locally scoped variable, raining and noise, based on what the parameter is, so that we can use them within the actual constructor function. Okay, so now we're just saying this dot raining equals raining. So what we're saying is, in the constructing of this object, it's going to equal whatever that argument is that came in, and now we're using it as a parameter within the function. You know, we're just making sure that we're using this to get the value. Okay, cool. All right, we're going to move on. It's going to get even clearer. This is going to be a fun one. Oh, yes. Can we Slack the constructor version of Raining Cats and Dogs? All right. I should probably, no, let's continue. So I guess the last thing I probably should highlight, and I don't know if we took a look and noticed that it had this new operator called new. Feels weird to say. And all this is doing is making sure that it is, it's just an operator to tell it that this needs to be a prototyped. So when we talked about JavaScript when we were first learning it, we talked about how JavaScript doesn't have classes, right? Does anybody remember that? Or what that even means? Like in other programming languages, when I create a variable, it's like a number, it's like an integer or a string, or it's very strongly typed. And those are called class-based languages or class-based programming languages. So JavaScript's a little different. It doesn't really have true classes. What it does have is these prototypes. And so that's where the new keyword is so important, because it says, make sure we're using this. This is not a new object. It is a prototyped object. So this is the closest that you get to type in JavaScript. Oh, really? Okay. You've probably seen it in your browser too. Like, say it threw an error, and then you started looking, and you opened up the little arrow, and you looked inside the object, and there's a line that says prototype. So every object gets a prototype key when it's created. So eventually, I mean, the truth is that any object could be a prototype for another object. That's what we're getting into that. That's how we're saying that. That's what we're doing is we're creating the prototypal prototypal inheritance when we say new animal. Let's say make a new object, but based on this prototype. Yes. Okay. It's cool. We're getting this. This is powerful stuff. So this is the whole object-oriented programming. Now we're getting oriented to those objects, right? Okay, so interesting. Okay, cool. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take our very, very newfound knowledge to create a character like you would have in an RPG, role-playing game, for the rest of us who don't know what RPG stands for, which is probably no one anymore. We did. Okay. We're gonna slack out these instructions as well. Is there any starter file for this one or no? Okay, so this is totally different because this is in Node. It has nothing to do with the other RPG. That was in a browser. Forget that world. It's dead to you now. Only command line. Hey.
that's where I'm at.
Oh man, oh man. Yes, sir.
For best practices, so if you're using the constructor, should they be lower?
Let's make them lowercase. Yeah.
So if I do go through them, it should be like
Mhm.
that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Resist the urge to capitalize Goku's name. We'll be displeased, but he'll move on.
I mean, it's functional.
Best practices is to practice bestly. See that they released the next season of Rick and Morty on Hulu.
Wait, what?
So the season 2, not season 3.
Oh,
Sorry.
God damn.
Sorry. Sorry.
It's gonna leave.
Sorry. It's new to me. I'm catching up. Well, I watched 2 of them. So.
Yes.
That's one of my favorite episodes.
The one that takes place entirely in the house.
Oh, with all the weird characters or whatever. Yeah, that was a good one. That's why that's why I thought of it, is because of that's what an imposter would say. It's like one of those old episodes of Twilight Zone where everyone just became more and more homicidal because they couldn't figure out what was really going on.
Oh, I love you, sorry. I know. Boom. No, at least at the end, because it's in the. It doesn't need to be in there. Yeah, it's the one.
Doesn't sound good.
You're a bard.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to take in current stats as they're arguing big. But if they're on insurance regard, they do that might do it, yeah.
All right, let's see what the phone.
New console load. But then you need to change the strength in your
48. Say what? Ha 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 ha.
That's when it printed out. And it didn't print out the character. All those entries.
Biofiltered. Don't.
So it's kind of something like maybe it's
Mm.
cats and dogs. Oh, it's something
What the?
Is it glad the ability?
Versus Castlevania. Self-identifies. I like it. Yeah, self-identification should be anything and everything. I know. Euclidean.
I've never really used this for prop in object syntax before.
Mhm.
I'm looking here and I'm trying a few different things.
Oh, you're trying to run the loop for the actual RPG part.
For the print stats, yeah. So for var prop in.
So what did you so you could say Goku.printstats?
Yes, I did that right here.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I remember learning that you don't need the invocation parentheses.
Oh, because you're just console logging it? Is that a break?
Well, it's just, yeah. See, it'll console log the function. It won't actually.
Yeah. Okay.
I
So you need to.
I'll do this.
Let me just double check how I did that. Undefined, yeah, because it doesn't have. So is your console log not in the actual print stats function?
It is right here, yeah.
Okay, so why don't you just say Bob or Goku.printstats?
Just that.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, click that.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, so we're running on a test page or in the console?
Well, both.
Or Node or whatever.
Both, yeah. I was just trying to see.
Did you save it? Yeah. Okay, let's go back and take a look at let's take a look at print stats.
So I'm wondering if this syntax is wrong. Should it be RPG character?
No, print stat. Yeah, no, print stats is it doesn't need to be this dot print stats. Let me double check. No, it's not print stats. So let me see how you do it. You have this dot print stats, right?
Yeah.
So this dot print
Equals
function.
And I took that from this dot make noise equals function. And it's this dot noise shit.
Mm.
It was this for loop that I think I'm messing up.
I don't think you need the for loop, do you?
Well, it was supposed to print out all of the.
So why don't we just invoke them one at a time?
Okay.
I mean, you could say
I
like,
was just trying to
while
for in loop because I'd never really done that before.
to try to do just console log all the properties of it or something
Yeah,
like that.
exactly. Yeah.
So go back to, well, let's see. HP is greater than 0. Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm the wrong one. 4.
Yeah, right here.
4 prop and RPG. I wonder if that's exactly how you would do it. And you're just having a console log some statement for now?
Yeah.
Okay, let me just double check on that.
It is live on console logging. The gods aren't done with you. Yeah.
Hey guys, want to mingle a little bit? I think there's some questions out there. Some people, they're doing pretty good at answering their questions. So I think part of the reason that this isn't working is that at this point that you're at, it doesn't see the object because it's inside the constructor. So if you were to run a for property in Goku, for instance, then you would have an actual object. Right now, inside the constructor, that's not really defined yet. And I think that it's like a scoping issue.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So I could experiment with a little bit more, but for now, just go ahead and comment that out and just console log the appropriate stats that you need to.
Just individually?
Yeah.
One by one?
Mhm,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Just seeing where you're at, so you start asking me
So
questions about other stuff.
so one thing that someone was trying to do was they have this, we have this, this is not their code, but there's this object, right? And then there's this method like print stats, right? So what he was trying to do is he's trying to say for property in character, but he can't do that because of scope, right? Inside here, what he was trying to do is when a print stats run, he goes for property in character run through, and he's going to try to just console log everything for prop in, but it's due to scoping that wouldn't work, right? Because this is a method inside and you're trying to like reference the container object. Is that possible to do?
This is currently not actually.
He was using this, yeah. Well, he was saying inside this print stats function for prop in object. It just wasn't working, so I figured it was a scope thing because it was returning undefined, which is usually, yeah.
I guess that makes sense, Jim, because it's referencing the constructor at that point.
Yeah, not the object itself. Yeah, like if you could do the outside of it, you could say for prop in Goku, and then you could print stats. Seems like then the function would exist outside of it. It would be something that the objects would call, but that's kind of outside of what we're trying to teach right now. Right now, we're trying to put the methods in there. I'm going to try to get us to the prototypes at the end and talk about, like, we're going to go back to the dog and cat one, and we're going to separate out what needs to be in the because like, oh, you loop through this for this in this. Could you say for prop in this? It's worth a try, yeah. But I told him just go ahead and do like this. Just console log some stuff.
Because it just wants you to take 1 second.
The console logging is like the first step for sure, and then once you're done, then you try to improve. Let's console log everything. Did you look through this lesson at all? Huh? We don't have time for that. It's like a sit-down place, right? 15 minutes. Banh mi sliders. So next Saturday, we're going to get in a car and we're going to drive down to the end of Anderson this way. I'm sorry, yeah, you're not here this? Oh. We're at Thompson, yeah, that's right. For the next time we're over here, then next Saturday, we're going to go to Albor's because I think I told you about it, right? Have you ever had Persian food before? Like Persian food usually is like just synonymous with like Greek food, like they seem the same. But then there's a real Persian restaurant down here, and they have a lunch buffet. It's really good. I like it. It's one of my favorite places. They have this like sour cherry rice dish that they make there. Oh, it's really unique. I think I know. You told me that you like out there stuff, right? Yeah, it's unique. Yes, at least once. You know, you don't know until you try, right? Maybe you were drunk and you don't remember. Hypothetically speaking. Yeah. Hence the reason I have 2 kids. Sometimes you got to try a couple times to really realize that, no, that was a mistake. It was still a mistake. I love you, kids. I love you, babies. If you're listening, if you're watching on YouTube. 4 and 15 months.
So they're definitely not watching on YouTube.
My son does. He's.
As soon as they can understand the name.
My son can't even read, and he can go through all the menus on the Xbox like.
Oh, that's terrifying.
Yeah, I know. It's impressive. Just abandon all process. Oh, you're just using it for troubleshooting, right? Oh. Yeah, you can do that. Oh, so you are using process or in the processing in the actual functionality. Outside of using it for like error checking and things like that, I wouldn't use it in there. So like you're trying to say level up, right? So level up is let's just take level up for example. Level up is a method of the object, right? Of the constructor object. So all the people are going to get it. So whoever you're creating, right? Whatever your character is. So like inside the function, you're going to change things like age, right? He's going to get a year older, or the strength goes up, hit points go up. So you can do that by just saying this dot level up equals function, right? Launch your function, that's your method. And in there just say this dot age plus equals 1. This dot strength plus equals 5. This dot hit points plus equals 25. And then when you want to call it, you'll say whatever character's name is, Goku dot level up, and inside, and you don't even have to put anything inside because there's no argument in that case. I'm just adding in 1 year of age, 5. What did I say? We have not gotten to that point yet. Yes, sir.
Will the call of documentation just leave the function as an embedded function of every single object, or just have that function that is a parameter, therefore you can have
Well, what we're going to find is methods work a lot better when they're part of the prototype. So if it was like some method that no other object would need, then we can add that method just to that instance of the object. But really, we want our methods should be more or less global, right?
declare it as a function that is accessible globally, and then just have a parameter of char1, and then add that to char1 dot base plus equals char1 dot strength plus equals declare that. That way I can put any single one of our variables or objects within our function.
Yeah.
I just didn't figure out how to call it.
The only command line part that the user is doing should be, wait, no. There's no command line stuff that the user is doing this.
Yeah, that's our math. Trying to call these functions.
Too soon. What you're going to do is you're just going to call the whole function. You're going to say node whatever.js and let it run. If you get to the part where are you at the part where they're supposed to battle?
Yeah.
Okay, then just run. What I would suggest is run it into while loop,
Okay.
something like this.
Oh, and then just like keep printing on each simulator. Oh, okay.
So it'll keep doing this as long as they're both alive.
Gotcha. I mean, that I could do, and that I could easily put into my JS directly. I just wanted to be.
Yeah, you wanted to make it a real game. I understand.
Yeah.
Like a real boy. We're gonna do it. We're gonna get there in this class. Okay.
Gotcha. And I'm already off everything except for this part,
Mhm.
which I can do. It's simple. We've covered loops on like week 2, week 3.
Yeah, this is just the loop for the battling.
Yeah. So we're just waiting for everyone else to familiarize themselves with
Yes.
constructors.
Yes.
Also, yes, I have a character named Snarf who is almighty.
That's Almighty Snarf. Has 1,000,000 hit points.
Pretty much.
Oh,
Well,
jeez.
it's over 9,000. So.
What 9,000?
Lionel Snarf. Snarf, Snarf, Snarf. All right, cool. So let's well, what does the lesson want me to do? I'm just flying off in my own tangent all the time.
No, it's not. It's been worse though.
I think it feels good. So
2 Saturdays ago, I think it was. No, it was 2 Wednesdays ago.
okay, so let's take a look at how we would create this character and make them do some stuff, right? Okay, so let me bring this up here. And we'll take a look at just this. Okay. First thing I do is word wrap. Okay, so first thing I'm doing is I'm creating the constructor. All right, so it takes a series of values and creates a character. Okay, so in this case, I'm giving it all the things it asked me to do: name, profession, gender, age, strength, hit points, right? And of course, what I'm doing is I'm using the this keyword to then assign those variables inside this this constructor function. Then what I'm doing is I'm giving it the first of many methods, this one being print stats. Print stats simply console logs this concatenated string, giving all the general information of the character. Next, what I'm doing is I need a way to determine if a character's hit points are less than 0, so I created a isAlive method. The isAlive method has a conditional that just tests to see if hit points is greater than 0. If so, I'm still alive, and if not, whatever the character's name is has died. All right? Next, I need a method for an attack. In this case, this method takes an argument. It takes an argument called character2. Character2 hit points minus equal this dot strength. So this would be the character being created in the constructor, right? So it's going to reference back to itself. Next thing we have is the level up function. Pretty simple, just saying this dot level up function, this dot age plus equal 1, this dot strength plus equal 5, this dot hit points plus equal 25. Okay. Then we get into actually making these local objects. So I have my 2 characters, Bob and Bart, and I gave them all their key value properties and ages and whatnot. Then what I'm doing is I'm just showing how we would run this part if we didn't have that while loop that we see at the bottom. So I'm just initiating some calls. But using the dot notation, bob.print stats, print Bob stats, Bart.print stat, Bart attack, parameter, character2, Bob. So I'm supplying the object that I want to have the focus of that method, right? Then I'm print stats again, and then I'm leveling Bart up and printing stats also. Okay, so now if I wanted to actually make this a battle where both characters keep fighting until they hit 0, I can easily use a while loop. So while Bob.isAlive equals true, and Bart.isAlive equals true. Let's do these things. Let Bob attack Bart. Let Bart attack Bob. Print Bob's stats. Print Bart's stats. Stats. Continue. Okay. That's basically it for this portion of it. And I heard a lot of people wondering and already starting to try to actually make this into a command line thing where you can actually enter things into this command line. So that's what we're going to be moving on to after the break, which I think is now. Yes, can we slack out this, slack out just the one with the full RPG power. I think they're just, yeah, this one. Actually, I mean, I guess you can do them both, but.
Jim, is there any way that you can do like arrows to what this is referring to or something when we come back?
Sure, yeah. So inside the function, this is always going to refer to whatever is the object that is being run through. Exactly, exactly. And so what it happens is like the attack one, it asks for a parameter. So when we call that, we have to supply whatever character 2 is, or it won't really function correctly. But otherwise, it's all contained within that constructor.
With every this, it's referring to the previous one.
It's
go up upper.
So when this is literally being referred to in the constructor, it is referring to whatever we name the variable. Whatever we name the variable right here. So in this case, this is always Bob when it's Bob. Okay. So if I say Bob.this, like I'm using, or Bob.whatever, then it knows the dot notation. It goes, oh, I'm going through, and inside that instance of Bob, it's saying this, this, this. So every time you say Bob.whatever, it's going this. It's Bob. The instructions? Are we going right into Tamagotchi? Yeah, let's send it out. I 100% agree with you. I just wanted to make sure that was the very next one that we have. Okay, cool. Yeah, go ahead and slack it out. Hey, so we're going to be slacking out the instructions for the next one. It's a pretty large assignment, at least in my opinion.
Okay, so what I'm asking is like, okay, so how would it be possible for us to name this and have a user be able to create it?
Okay, so we're going to slack out these instructions for what we're going to start in on after the break. And when I start, when we come back, I'm going to give a little bit extra kind of additional knowledge on using these. But basically, it comes down to this: if I have a constructor object and it has, like, say it's like a car. Okay, so I have a constructor object called car, capital C, and I want to create cars, right? And I have color and model, maybe, right? So we start creating cars with colors and models. Down the road, I have all these cars, and I want to add a new property to just one of them, okay? I can do that by just simply saying this dot, that new property name equals boom, and I've added that to that particular instance of that constructed object, right? Does that make sense? That particular one, yeah. Not the prototype that's creating them, but to the, yes. Now, what I can do on the fly, I can also add to the constructor. I can actually change the prototype on the fly also. So I can use the dot prototype dot whatever I want to add in this case. Okay.
So if you created a car called Lamborghini, then you would go back and say Lamborghini dot whatever equals whatever.
Like, so let's say that it's a whole list of cars that just have model and year, yeah, and I only want to add a name like driver when someone's actually using it or whatever. So I would just say the car name dot driver, and then that one would have 3 properties instead of 2. But I could also globally go through and say, you know, car.prototype.driver equals null, and then all the objects will get that update, and we'll have that null in there. It's powerful, right?
Yeah.
You can, yeah, you can, you will. And if in the code, so you create the 2 objects, and then you change the prototype after that, it will update the prototype for all those existing objects as well. It says it didn't. Are you using dot prototype? Oh, well, we'll look at it. That's going to be the last thing that we do today. If we move quickly through these things, we'll get into discussing it. So these didn't get the attack function? Ah, interesting. Well, we'll have to look into why that happened. Strange, but it should have gotten it. Fanaticals. All right, so before we move on, I wanted to simply discuss adding, if we wanted to add unique or new properties or methods to already constructed objects. And I think we touched on this a little bit. I talked a little bit about that. So sometimes it may seem like, why would you want to do this, right? Just make it all in the constructor function. Well, there are some cases where you'll want an object or two objects that are constructed by from the same prototype to have different properties, right? And have a little bit of difference between the two. And I use the example of a car, and you would only apply an owner when it actually had an owner, and so the owner wouldn't be something that was inherited from the prototype, but it was something that you added. So if you wanted to do something like that, like if we wanted to add something to the Bob object in this case, so we could say Bob dot weapon, and we could give him a weapon, for instance, equal, right? So we could actually add a new property just to Bob here. And in this case, Bart wouldn't have a weapon property. So there wouldn't be a key called weapon in Bart, but there would be a key called weapon in Bob after this line runs, okay? And so that we can add, as similar to this, we can also add a function to this. If we just change the keyword to function, we can actually add a method then to this, and then we could write whatever method we want to include. Sorry, that doesn't do that. And then we would write whatever method we want to include, and we can add that method just to Bob in this instance, okay? And so I just wanted to kind of add that in there because there may be a use for that in the Tamaguchi.
So that in order to enact that function, would you have to do Bob.weapon and then parentheses there, or would it just?
Oh yeah, if it was a method, yeah. To call the method, you would still have to call it. It does. Now you could, there is such a way of creating self-invoking functions that you could have it just invoke itself or whatever after the fact, but you would probably call it, you would say Bob weapon. This is just creating the new method inside the object, then you would have to run it. Question? This is only for unique, if you're trying to make uniqueness between the two constructed functions.
What if you wanted to make all of them have weapons?
Okay, then you would have to use prototype.
You do bob.prototype.weapon?
Yeah, we're going to get into that in a second, but yeah, essentially you'd use the prototype object then to reference its prototype, and then what you could do is add something like a property or method to everything globally. Yeah. And we're going to get into that once we review this Tamagotchi.
Yeah.
I think I got the last one, Tamagotchi. I think I got it there. I think the first two were like some euphemism or swear word.
Yeah, real close.
Like I heard that, have you seen the Pokemon South Park episode? Classic. Chimpokemon.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That word actually means asshole. Chimpokemon means asshole in Japanese, apparently. Yeah, apparently it does. Or there's like, some languages.
Yeah.
There's some languages that just have like infinite amount of words just to reference like some dirty body part or something like that. Like I've just noticed like some cultures, like I used to date a couple girls from Thailand, and they just have like so many, just there's like 80 words for like a single swear word. I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah, that's great.
And all these different inflections, go bow, and just like boom, hit them, burn them.
Takes cursing people out to an art form.
So like, have you ever heard someone go ow ow like that before?
Yeah.
So in Thai, ow means I want, and so literally when you do that, you're saying I want, ow ow. Pretty cool, right? Told you. You just didn't know it.
Yeah, I learned so much more than I paid for in this month.
Remember, with great responsibility comes power. It's actually more true that way. With great responsibility comes great power than the other way.
Ideally,
It makes more sense that way. I always thought. With great responsibility comes great power. All right, so Tamagotchi.
It was like, yeah, there were lawyers involved.
Who actually owned one of these Tamagotchis before? I had one too, but it had a little baseball diamond and they hit Tiger game. Remember those?
Way back.
Oh God, I know.
I used to have Mega Man 2 and football, Street Fighter.
So I'm amazed that those little Tiger games held my attention for as long as they did back in the day. Yeah, they really just sucked.
Oh man,
And the battery.
that's spectacular. I think the oldest thing I found is
Nope.
First LCD.
like Emerald. Yeah.
That is cool.
No,
It's like the first. That was the first augmented reality then, huh? Like I remember I got the first smartphone and I'd play the Pac-Man where you can turn any room into like a Pac-Man game.
Yeah.
Just play it at work. Burp, burp, burp.
Baseball. Chinese fortune cookie for one life.
What is this? There's some Georgia O'Keeffe type stuff going on back here.
I can't even imagine what was actually happening.
But sure, it's gonna keep you up at night.
Yeah.
What would that
Normally
mean?
does.
What was that stuff? It's one of my favorite pastimes is dropping just enough of a conversation so someone listening can hear that it would just bounce around their head and drive them crazy. Like, what did he mean by that? Like 2 weeks later, why did he say that? God, damn, I can't figure it out. I know. Probably a sign that I'm a sociopath. I would hope that I wouldn't love my kids as much as I do if I actually was a sociopath. No, I don't think so either. Every time I wonder how sociopaths or psychopaths how they act, I always just picture all the CEOs I've ever worked for. Oh yeah, that's how psychopaths operate.
Somebody's doing. I read somebody say that like you, psychopathy, sociopathy is on a spectrum.
Yeah, it's also kind of an identifier for like leadership. Like it's amazing to me the amount of psychopaths that have been put in charge of everything, and so many times over and over again in history. And it's just because people who do really, really big things do really big bad things and really big good things, and so you just have this. And I'm not saying psychopaths do good things.
But you just the slider.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, what's more evil, big evil or mundane evil of little small things, or doing like one big thing? You just wonder. Everything has a power to create. Even destruction can create, and so some of these people that do really, on face value, evil things actually end up creating something good, potentially.
Jim, do you want to point me in the direction for this bonus?
Okay, the bonus.
Just tell me where I should start Googling and go from there.
Okay. 1 second, please. Tamagotchi. Joey Tamagotchi. I'll give you all that. Okay, so we wanted to. Let me just check something here.
already is better.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Good question. Let me work with this a little bit. They actually didn't include that. You guys do it.
Yeah. Later on.
Why the hell would they do that? No, I'm confused.
So mine is pretty much a boardwalk.
Hey, can you guys pop open the last code real quick? I'm gonna ask your opinion on something. The Tamagotchi, yeah. So, if you look at the instructions, the bonus says to create the ability to command line. Yeah. And then scroll the last line of the code. So, gonna leave me hanging there.
It to work just without the bonus.
Right, which is kind of a new one for me. I didn't usually if they're asking them to do it, they at least give them something that they can chew on after they've tried. So, if you've seen it in some other stuff. So, what I wanted to do is kind of think what would be, given what we have here, which is just two objects with methods. That's really all that's there at this point. They're not even really calling it within the function. They're not even calling any of these methods, right? That's what it says there. Nothing has been called. Oh, I guess, okay, they're setting a few things, but those are kind of, those are object specific ones, right? Okay, so Because I opened that can of worms, and then guess what? They don't answer it. They don't answer in the next class either. You know what they do? They go right into other JavaScript stuff. In fact, there's a thing at the end that's like 40 minutes of do something cool with Node. So really, this just becomes another exercise like the last one. I thought for some reason, I thought when I looked at it that it had the.
Oh, that's not right logic. No, it's just. Oh, it's not even double anymore.
Is it well? Okay, so last class on Saturday, they introduced that one package, right? What was it called? Query or inquiry? Inquirer. I mean, maybe that's the path because they already kind of were introduced to it. I could probably use that case hungry, case whatever, you know. I didn't know if there was a quick and dirty way to add that level of functionality. It sounds like it's actually pretty in depth to make it a real Tamagotchi. Something to think about. Those are big tears if they make it all the way to the neck beard.
It's just the neck beard just goes high.
You have a friend with a really kick-ass neck beard, and I always would say, dude, just shave everything on the face and just leave the neck patch.
I'm gonna do like that one guy in Game of Thrones, just make it down and tie it.
Oh God, what's his name? Damn, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's so good, yeah.
Yeah, I think I've seen him begging for change downtown. Old Twisty Chops, that's what I call him. He hangs out with Beavertail and Baghead. Houston homeless people are really homeless, not like Austin homeless people. Man, there's some characters there. Ooh, Beavertail and Baghead. Baghead didn't last very long. He had mental problems, hence the bag on his head. Well, when you go to one of the nation's largest black colleges, sit down in the middle of it and start screaming racial things, you don't last long. So he was special. It's bad day there.
Oh my God. Holy shit.
Oh yeah. Are you trying out for the force? Yeah, I'm telling you, Tom Selleck would be proud of that thing.
That's something, dude.
It's like a Chuck Norris level stash. Put some touch of gray in that thing. It makes me look distinguished. I laugh, but I'll be turning. Well, I guess I won't turn gray. I'll turn silver. Silver fox.
So should I just like chill on that bonus?
We're actually actively looking at the best way to do that because it wasn't included with the exercise for some reason. So that's a new one for me.
Okay.
And so now we're just trying to. I think they may have gotten distracted, but we were all working on it at one time.
Okay. Got it. So the bonus is to make it interactive in the terminal?
Yes, that is the bonus, and
You have to use Inquirer for that?
that was one of the roads that we were talking about using because you guys have already been introduced to it, and then you would.
Reading about
RX or something like that, and I tried it out and I couldn't get it to work.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was looking at Inquirer for the first thing because that's something we've already introduced to you guys.
Responsive flow.
Responsive flow.
Reactive interface.
Reactive interface.
It's like new RX.something.
Yeah, these little bits feel much more awkward at this point because we're not using any real web pages with these yet. But of course, eventually what we'll do is this will all be spin out to a web page, and that will be our kind of interface.
It would be easy to make it do an HTML page, buttons.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man,
It would be time
I've
consuming.
never seen that. I'm gonna look that up.
Yeah.
But doing it in the command line.
It's a little difficult.
Yeah.
Oh my god. That's spectacular. Yeah, the bad habit of reacting only with the fire emoji.
Now, do you mean if it's kids? Like use your mixtape fire.
I have a 10-year-old cousin with an Instagram. It's just cancerous. It's just, oh my god, it's the worst thing. She says lit. She goes to Catholic school.
Where do you think she picked it up?
No, this isn't even like the kind of Catholic school that like turns you into a sexual deviant. Like this is like a Catholic school.
It's not. But it at least covers up the fact that it turned you into a sexual deviant, right?
No, they're hiding it very well.
I've seen Special Victims Unit. So my grandmother went to Catholic school, and she said every single guy was like drunk every day, like every day almost. She said they were just like, she goes, they were just rampant alcoholism in her Catholic school.
Starting at what age?
This is high school.
Oh, okay.
This is like,
She's 10.
15, 14, 15, 16, just like, the high school ages. But yeah, they were just like, she said when they had the little, they didn't call them proms or whatever. There's some other name for them. But when they had the dance or whatever, it was like, just like everyone was just getting ejected, like one after another. Like, drunk, 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 drunk.
Wow.
Because there were no guys to dance with. Everyone was kicked out.
What is it? Just like the.
It's Irish Catholic. It's Irish Catholics.
It's in like what sort of tends to breed that?
It's the fact that Irish people drink to forget their problems.
Isn't that what everyone does?
Yeah.
There's this global.
It's just the Irish have been doing it for about 2,000 years longer than everybody else. They found a distillery in Ireland from 1080. They were making whiskey in 1080.
That's absurd.
Yeah, I think that's when it was from.
Let's see.
Oldest distillery is in Babylon, if that's what you're looking up.
How do you know that?
I know a lot about alcohol.
That's supposedly what we converted to agrarian. Agriculture came about to make beer.
Sure. Can't drink the water.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah. Always forget about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about the most efficient means of dopamine secretion. That's all humanity works towards.
I kind of like that, man.
You know what they say, alcohol is single-handedly the cause and solution to all of life's problems. At least temporarily.
Everyone says
What? Yeah.
I mean, I get it.
I'm sorry, 1405. This is the oldest date in Ireland that I found.
We have another activity after this, right?
What we're going to do is we're going to talk about prototypes. This is actually the last activity of the day, but I'm adding in an extra one. Just keep trying to make it interactive. I mean, there's a couple packages out there that might make it easier to do. If you have all your properties, you have all your methods set up, and that's where you're at, right?
Yeah.
So now it's ready for that next step.
But am I?
Yes,
That's a rhetorical question.
always. I mean, yes. So you could say like inquire or prompt.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and go.
Do you want to play with me? Or something like that. I don't know what your pet would say. Woof, or you know what I'm saying.
I think I have woof woof motherfucker.
So if you use that inquire, include, require, require. Var inquire. Why do people think JavaScript's difficult? I'm getting this sneaking suspicion that engineers created JavaScript. Feels like it. I don't know. This guy. There you go. Here's who you have to blame. This guy. Just because he made JavaScript or something else that he did to piss you off? All the accolades, that's what fills these jowls.
Yeah, just makes you take a step back. Anything I could do work on that? No, just
That's a really good one. Whoa, he's let himself go. That looks more like the person who invented JavaScript than this face. I think he, there he is. I'm gonna tell you a story about how I made JavaScript. If you say so. What's this guy have to say? Fair enough. Mashery. No, I disagree. What the hell? Man, there are some weird websites.
You're scratching the surface right now.
Oh, this is the guy who made the homophobic comments. That's right. I forgot about that. I didn't realize he was the guy who invented JavaScript too. You win, Randall. We'll all punch him.
Yes.
Sí, pues, control. Oh, they fired him, huh? That's right. I forgot they fired him.
Big JavaScript fan.
There you go. There's the best one of all. It's my glamour shot. Arrgh. Just exudes sex.
Do you have any good Google image searches of yourself?
Jim McCoy?
Yeah.
There's a character from the McCoys. You're a brave man, Jim McCoy. This guy. This is me.
That's fucking rugged.
That's the real Jim McCoy right there. So the McCoy family is really entrenched in what's called the valley between West Virginia and Kentucky, like right on the border area. It's where my ancestors came from there too, or or whatever. So yeah, there's some, you know, there's some of that. There's some of that too.
Are you like honor bound to smack around Hatfields if you run into them?
Yes, and you notice that you don't meet too many Hatfields. Seems to be a lot of McCoys out there, but no Hatfields.
Oh, okay, that's what
There you go. That's me. It's at the last Irish rules football game.
It's like Lee Warnock is like coach of some soccer.
Well, what image do you get if you put Lee Warlock? It's like, oh, it's a picture of me. Yeah.
There's just a ton of Filipino people with my name.
Oh yeah.
Like a ton. Like I've been getting emails from this like Filipino university really recently.
Oh.
They keep responding that I live in the United States and I have nothing to do with like land surveying education. But she keeps sending them.
That's just weird. But don't you want to do some land surveying?
It's like, I've responded 3 times.
Google's they're watching. He's Googling himself again. What a narcissist. What a fucking narcissist.
Donald Glover.
So has anyone moved on to trying to incorporate Inquirer into this app?
Trying right now.
Okay.
I haven't gotten anything yet.
Are you using one of those files that we made before as a reference?
Well, I found this.
So you have then, right? Then is when you're going to actually do stuff. So you're going to prompt, and then you're going to try to, like, you're going to say, yeah, I'll question mark, or you know.
See, because this is what I was telling you about, like with this prompts not on next, like dynamically add a question.
I'm curious about this too.
Yeah,
I was
sure.
actually gonna try to implement this into the homework,
Mhm.
to where I would say, okay, give a list. What do you want to do? Look for someone's Twitter, search for info about a movie, and then have them answer that, and then based on that answer, give another prompt.
Mhm.
Right? If it's Twitter, then enter someone's
Sure.
username.
Let's take a look at this one. Right? Let's take a look at this. So let me put this up, and we can kind of. So then this one is using an object that's being created by a constructor.
Okay. Oh, and you're saying
There we go.
answers. Yeah. Okay. So
So the argument answers automatically apply.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, that's okay.
And Will Arnett.
Fucking shit. So then if we take that in conjunction with what we were working with on Saturday. Yeah. That's what I think we had the there's the spirit.
Whoa. Oh shit.
What? Yeah, on Wednesday it will. Yeah. Hey, now you're soaking it in. Ooh, answers. Oh, clever guy back there.
Look at this guy.
Good thing the mic doesn't pick up what you say.
It doesn't. I really miss out on a lot of classroom experience. It's really sad. I'll hear like the tiniest laughter, and if someone says something, I'm just like,
Oh.
On the flip side, you get to hear all the comments like that Jim, Holly, and Rob has. Most like, oh man, this is fucking bullshit.
Mostly Jim. Yeah, there was one class where you got pretty heated. I mean, it's when we were pulling up the like the facial thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yep. Just standard filled with rage.
It's like branching that I can't figure out. You know, I know I tried.
Depends on what you want to do. You pull something up. Oh yeah, yeah, that were you? Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, more appropriate than that. You've seen the video 3 times. Oh no, I'm talking about the pizza top 5 video. It's been playing over and over again. Step 1. What is kind of gone downhill?
Joe, I got on this article. I don't know if you keep up with gaming trends and stuff, but there was this whole thing about Lionhead Studios.
Mm.
It was a really good section where they talk about Tamagotchis with
Black?
Holiday.
Black and white.
Yeah, black and white stuff like that. They just talk about the whole culture, and some of the developers were so mad at Peter Holiday because he had like a Tamagotchi. He kept like pulling ideas for his game from like this Tamagotchi experience, and developers like, I swear to God, if he leaves it on his desk, I'm gonna destroy it. And then one day he like left it on his desk and he just offered him like a cup of coffee. And Peter Holiday was just so pissed about it.
Don't poop on the desk. Just do not poop on the desk. Even if you win the lotto. She went to jail.
Yeah, I think she did.
She went to jail. She is.
She had a bad lawyer.
There she is.
Yeah, she should have hired a better.
Oh, she did it in New York, which is a terrible place to do that anyway.
Yeah, if you're gonna poop on someone's desk, do it in the South.
Yeah.
Somewhere they're just like,
What hunched over on my desk like a hippopotamus / cheetah, dropping a massive poo on my desk. She shot her head towards me and locked eyes. I was frozen in shock and fear. I saw a few.
Please don't read the rest.
Oh my God.
This may not be official.
Yeah, I don't think it is. Oh my God.
So that's why they raised brown Play-Doh.
That's hilarious.
Oh my God. That was great. A lot of poop on that.
Oh, is it not real? Maybe it's not real.
Yeah, let's check that
I love that we're
quickly.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's just a sticker.
We didn't find rock bottom before. We just.
Where's the?
fake news at the bottom, so it might not be true.
Where's the? Usually this just says what the out.
Like true or false.
Yeah, where did that go? I don't see that.
There's no truth to the above quoted story. So apparently it originated from that website that we were just on.
That we were just looking at. Yeah.
So you mean to tell me this is all a lie?
Yeah, I guess so.
How did anyone read that and think it was real news?
Well, I think it's a story we all want to believe is true. You should be trying to use inquirer to inquire. Inquiring minds want to know.
I'm on the Inquirer. I'm reading about that.
Oh, yeah? Your little RPG game?
Yeah, that'd be dynamic. Yeah, I've probably had time to do that at least 10 times now.
No, you know what you should do? This guy. Whether
Yeah, you know what's not gonna happen until Halloween? That shit. What's my cat's name?
Mr. Tickles.
You don't get a picture.
Mr. Tickles. Bootsy.
That's a
Niblets.
spectacular cat name. That's a really good one.
Persephone.
You didn't get the gender right. Yeah. I'm sorry, I don't. Wait, hold on, wait.
Rufus.
That's not.
Bear.
That's literally the only time I've ever heard of it.
Ladies love Cool James. Well, I call him LL Cool J for short.
Oh.
No, his name is Ladies Love Cool James.
It's just the worst way to name yourself. Just terrible. That only could have worked then. Like, he could not name himself that now and be respected in any fashion. That shit is awesome. That was super creative. It's like a designer version of the word designer.
Travis Scott put a $ in his name.
He did. Yeah, yeah. You know what? You're right. I think he maybe could have gotten it. Take it all back. I was super incorrect. Yeah, I don't think designer is the worst example.
Cisco. Yeah.
That song is an instant classic. We're going to be talking about that in 50 years.
Does he have any other songs though?
Yes, actually, he just dropped a mixtape yesterday, title exclusive.
There you go.
It's called New English because you can't understand anything he says.
Have you seen the video where he actually like sings Panda with like subtitles and you're still like, you're not saying anything.
Yeah, but he starts getting like more hype as he's saying. He starts rapping and like he has this little bit.
X3, X5, like, okay, you're talking about BMW.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like pigeon or something, right?
She's admitted that she embellishes her Caribbean accent on her songs. She does not sound like she's from the islands. Yeah. She's admitted that she embellishes it. First of all, have you ever heard old Rihanna? Like her stuff when she first came out, when she was like, I have natural hair and I'm happy. So that Rihanna, see how she sings there? Listen to new Rihanna and then listen to a Sia song. And you're like, oh, they took her in a room and go, bitch, sing like her. Here's what you do. Here's the prototype. Constructor. Jay-Z got his hooks into her. She is. You know that that Bitch Better Have My Money song? You know that it was written by a high schooler, right? Yeah. This girl wrote it in high school. Yeah. Yeah, now she does. Yeah, yeah.
She has her own album out now. She did her own work.
You're like, not the lyrical quality of "Bitch Better Have My Money."
Oh no.
How could someone so simple write lyrics like "Bitch Better Have My Money"?
That was kind of my jam, though. I can't lie. I didn't go to it for lyrical complexity. That's not why I was there.
Yeah, I know. It's like that work song.
That one, I can't support that. I can't deal with that. That one's
Shucky ducky quack quack quack. Shucky ducky. Shucky duck. Shucky ducky? No? You're probably too young. Shucky ducky. Quack quack. Okay. How's this project going? Everybody finished at least the basic setup of the properties and the methods for these digipets? Oh,
Hey, I actually named it Digipet.
you did?
Or Digipal.
Digipal. You're looking it up. Shucky ducky, quack quack. Yeah, that's what when I hear that Rihanna song. That's what I like. That's what I'm singing in my head. Shucky ducky, quack 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 quack. Yeah, see, you're like the only person who was like, oh, shucky duck, quack quack.
What if you wanted to have like multiple functions? Would you simply bar something equals new this and you could pass the multiple functions in there? Like they want to make type pet and then have something universal of it, and then also want to do type cat and then have 2 or 3 while still having the other prototypes be able to run on the dog project. You want to have multiple constructors on a single variable.
Well, if it's like conditionally running certain parts or not, then it's potential that you could look at whatever arguments are coming in and have conditions inside your constructor to construct it this way, to construct it that way. But that's kind of getting a little confusing, you know. It's better to just have a constructor for this type of object, constructor for this type of object. If you need to add stuff outside of that, you can add it in outside of the constructor function. And we're about to get into prototypal.
Let's say if I wanted to run something like I gotta have 2 dogs and a cat, a pet canary, and a pet whale. Unlikely but possible. And of course, want to have variables that we need to, and some functions that we need to, that is available to all of them, and then some that are unique to each particular type. And then say I wanted multiple iterations of a certain type.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way to break that down to single variable stable, or to have to do something, and then just run?
Like I said, you can use conditions inside the constructor to add certain methods only to certain types of things. So like type, or maybe you have like a breeze, like breathes air, breathes water. You know, I know whales don't breathe water, right? But just work with me here. God damn it. They're mammals. Shit. Probably, yeah. Or to create separate constructors would be another way to keep them separate. Everything, you know, modularization is really important in JavaScript. So having things separated out is not a bad thing.
I'm just saying, if I wanted, there's no point in having like 3 separate constructors, one for each type, when all 3 of them would have some similar properties that are all shared.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like you could even have just one constructor that just builds all the stuff that they all share, and then run a condition on that one. Yeah, well, yeah, you can have all of them. So you can have ones that aren't properties that aren't even going to apply to that particular digi animal, and have them all start out from the constructor as null, and then only turn them on. That's one way of doing it. Or once the object's created, you can run it right through conditional and say, if this object is like this, then add another method to it. And I'm going to show you how. We're going to show you. Okay, so how is that going for everybody? Do we have our properties and methods at least? All right, let's run through just that particular portion, and we're going to leave the command line stuff for our next class, where we're going to discuss that in greater depth. So let's take a look at that. All right.
really unique name too. I just told you. Penny. There you go. Penny.
Yeah. So now you just like go and figure out. Yeah. The one I have
All right, so let's take a look at what we have here. We have our constructor function, which we're going to create this digital pals object, which will be essentially our prototype for all the objects we create. So, variable digital pal function. We have some properties like hungry, sleepy, bored, and age. Then we need a method to feed them. So this dot feed, if this is hungry, so it's going to check to see if it's hungry, and of course by default hunger is set to false. And it's going to console log that was yummy, and it's going to change some values, make it sleepy because we all get sleepy after we eat, right? Else, no thanks, I'm full. Okay, next we need a method to sleep. Similarly, we first check to see if the sleep variable is set to true or false, and then based on that, we have our conditions play out. Next, we have a method that allows them to play with them. So if it's bored, similar to the other ones, we run that condition and change a couple properties and move on. Then we have one more method, which is called sleep. Wait, no, increase age. Increase age is going to happen as a result of when they go to sleep. It's going to run this additional method, which increments the age by 1 and says, "I'm happy birthday. I'm this age old." Okay, so then we create a dog using our digital pal and our new operator. Then we're gonna actually add a property called outside, which is unique to the dog object, not part of the constructor function, right? Okay, so just this dog object will have that. Then we're going to go right next and we're going to add a method that is unique just to this dog object, not the constructor function that created the dog. Okay, and we're going to console log woof woof. Then we're going to do another method called let outside, and we're going to have a special method that is only specific to this object. Once again, not part of the constructor. And look, another one called let inside. Okay, similar in nature to the let outside method. Okay, so we've added all those new methods and one new property to dog, not the constructor. Then we have cat, which we're running that new digital pal, so we're creating a new object off of that constructor, and we're giving it a unique property called house quality. Then we're saying we're giving it similar to the bark, we're giving it a dot meow function, or method I should say. And then I think it's clear Ahmed has a cat, and it says destroy furniture. So the dogs can destroy furniture too. And then it has, wah, take that furniture. And I've already destroyed it all. And then of course what we have is a cat buy new furniture, which helps up our furniture value. Okay. So then on the last line it says it doesn't have any of these, and that is true. We have not initiated any of these. We've only created 2 objects. We've only added new properties and methods to those objects. We haven't actually run any of those cool methods or anything that we get there. All right. So I'm going to pause briefly to discuss the prototype and how we can actually affect that prototype. Okay. So let's say that we wanted to replace this dot bark and this dot meow, and we wanted to give it one function that was called speak or something like that, right? But we wanted to add speak in a way that it would be available to all of our objects that have used that same prototype to create themselves. So what we could do is we could actually go in there and we could say, and I believe that this is digital pal is our keyword, right? So if I said digital pal, right, and dot prototype, and then I wanted to say speak, right, and equals function and all that function, okay, and it could return something like this dot. Did we give these a name? Does it have a name? No, it doesn't have a name. Oh, well, it should. Let's say this dot age or whatever name, considering it did have a name. I could say something plus this noise. Okay. And then of course we would have to pass some sort of noise into the constructor when we create it. But in this case, what this would do is it would actually add this method to the prototype so that it would be inherited by all of the objects that were created by that constructor.
So what would it look like? We just, we created 50 objects and we realized, oh shit, we don't have a name on them. How can we go back and just add the name?
Okay, same way. The only difference is instead of this equals function, we would just say equals something like that, right? So that and then in that case we could add that property to all of them. Now that's not. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, you changed that, but
Yeah, there would be dot name. And the other thing that we could do is we could do something like, and then hope that we pass it as an argument or something like that. But essentially what the best thing to do there is to set it to null and then we'll access it individually.
null is a string.
Yeah, yes.
In the creation of the next one, does it automatically put name at like the end of the list? So if I'm putting all the arguments in, name would be the last one if I created it most recently?
In that case, what you would do if it was, and you're saying that you're passing it as just a property.
So now we have like hamster as a new
Hamster's a new
digital
one.
pet.
And so I'm passing in hungry, sleepy, bored, age. But then would the last one be like name? Would I
Yeah, I believe so. It would add it in at the end there.
at the end?
I have to test through that a few times. I don't usually work with these prototypes very much.
Okay.
But essentially, that's how we can add to. So what would be the benefit of adding a method after the fact? If it's something that everybody's getting, why not just go back and update the constructor function? That's the question we're going to have, right? You were having that same question?
I was going to say, one of the possible benefits is you could actually call that within a conditional statement, so where it only gives everything a condition or a property if it meets certain condition becomes necessary.
So you're saying it just only gets included if they actually need it or something like that?
Yes.
That could be one instance.
Would be one possible benefit.
But you could still have that condition inside your constructor function as well.
What would be the point of giving everything value? It might not be necessary either. It becomes unnecessary.
Yeah, I mean, I was just wondering what use, why there would be a benefit.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking.
Do you know why?
Do I know why?
Yes, that's what I'm asking. You were just here like you had the answer.
If you change the constructor, would you have to go back and change a lot of other code also?
No.
Maybe why you would
Nope.
want to know.
So think about methods. Okay, so every time that the constructor function is used, it's reinitializing all those methods. Now, if the method is just added after the fact to the prototype, then it's really only initiated once. Okay, so the code behind the method is not reinitiated over and over and over again. And that, yes, exactly. Mhm. And then for things like, usually you would probably have all the properties, key value properties inside the constructor function, but there could be, like I said, the case to add it to just a particular object. So usually when we use prototypal and we're adding back in, it's for methods, not for properties usually. Yeah, because it is, like you said, it's clunky to try to name all of them with one function. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to get deeper into prototypes and stuff in the next time. This wasn't even added into this lesson, but I wanted to kind of introduce it and get your minds kind of thinking about that there's use cases for adding directly to the object and use cases for adding directly to the method. And it really, and like we hand you all these JavaScript things, and like one of the first questions you have logically, and I understand it, is, now should I use this all the time? Which is like the question that you ask. Oh, you give me a gun, I shoot everything, right? But no, so it's like, it's use case, right? It's use case. You know, you're not like Homer Simpson, you're not opening a beer with a gun, you know what I mean? So tool for the job. Like when you're a PHP programmer, you have a hammer and the whole world looks like nails to you, but sometimes PHP isn't the tool to get it done or whatever. So you have to kind of choose when to use constructor functions in the first place, next time you have to consider is what needs to be included in the constructor function itself, what needs to be added outside. Okay, and the methods added after the fact really comes down to just cycles of the processor. Okay, and I'm going to send out a really quick article about prototypes that I thought was pretty simple, didn't get too deep into it. All right, put this in here. All right. If you guys want to continue working on the digital pet interactivity part, and I will do the same actually. Hey, hey.